Chapter 5 The Wolf Hunt. It was a bright day in August. The whispering rustle of the leaves as they turned their white sides to the soft breath of the southwest wind, the buzzing of the ostentatiously busy bees, the lapping of the river as it gurgled happily along in its everlasting travels, the half-drowsy note of a thrush and the peevish cry of a catbird seemed only to accentuate the Sabbath hush that was upon all nature. The day was very warm, but the deep shade of the elms in front of the cabin afforded a delightful retreat, almost as cool as the cellar. Tom and Lenny Fox had walked over to visit Bowser and Jim, and Sukey Gates, with her two brothers, had dropped in to stay a moment or two, but finding such good company, had remained for the day. The children were seated at the top of the slope that descended to the river, and the weather being too warm to play any game more vigorous than thumbs up, they were occupying the time with drowsy yawns and still more drowsy conversation, the burden of which was borne by Tom. Bowser often said they didn't mind talking parties if he could only keep Tom Fox from telling the story of the time when he went to Cincinnati with his father and saw a live elephant. But that could never be done, and Tom had told it twice upon that afternoon in question, and there is no knowing how often he would have inflicted it upon his small audience had it not been for an interruption which effectually disposed of Cincinnati and the live elephant for that day. A bustling old hen with her brood of downy chicks was peevishly clucking about, now and then lazily scratching in the earth, calling upon her ever-hungry family whenever she was lucky enough to find a delicious worm or racy bug. The cubs were stretched at full length in the bright blaze of the sun, snoring away like a pair of grampuses, their back silky sides rising and falling with every breath. They looked so pretty and so innocent that you would have supposed the thought of mischief could never have entered their heads. Mischief? They never thought of anything else. From morning until night, and from night until morning, they studied, planned, and executed deeds of mischief that would have done credit to the most freckle-faced boy in the settlement. Will you tell me why it is that the boy with the most plentifully supplied with freckles and warts is the most fruitful in schemes of mischief? A flock of gray geese and snowy ganders were floating on the placid surface of the rivers opposite the children, where a projection of the bank had caused the water to back, making a little pool of listless eddies. Suddenly, from among the noiseless flock of geese came a mighty squawking and a sound of flapping wings, and the flock, half flying, half swimming, came struggling at their utmost speed toward home. "Look, Bowser, look!" said Lenny in a whisper. "A wolf!" Bowser turned in time to see a great, lank, gray wolf emerge from the water carrying a gander by the neck. The bird could not squawk, but he flapped his wings violently, thereby retarding somewhat of the speed of Mr. Wolf. Bowser hurried to the house for his gun, and with Tom Fox quickly paddled across the river in pursuit of the wolf. The boys entered the forest at the place where the wolf had chosen. White feathers from the gander furnished a distinct spoor, and Bowser had no difficulty in keeping on the wolf's track. The boys had been walking rapidly for 30 or 40 minutes when they found that the tracks left by the wolf and the scattered feathers of the gander led toward a thick clump of pawpaw bushes and vines, which grew at the foot of a small rocky hill. Into this thicket the boys cautiously worked their way, and after careful examination they found, ingeniously concealed by dense foliage, a small hole or cleft in the rocks at the base of the hill, and they at once knew that the wolf had gone to earth and that this was his den. Foxes make for themselves and their families the snuggest, most ingenious home in the ground that you could possibly imagine. They seek a place at the base of a hill or bluff and dig what we would call in our houses a narrow hallway, straight into the hill. They loosen the dirt with their front feet and throw it back of them, and then with their hind feet they keep pushing it farther toward the opening of the hole until they have cast it all out. When they have removed the loose dirt, they at once scatter it over the ground and carefully cover it with leaves and vines to avoid attracting unwelcome visitors in their home. When the hallway is finished, the fox digs upward into the hill, and there he makes his real home. His reason for doing this is to prevent water from flowing through his hall into his living apartment. The latter is often quite a cave in the earth, and furnishes as roomy and cozy a home for Mr. and Mrs. Fox and the children as you could find in the world. It is cool in the summer and warm in the winter. It is softly carpeted with leaves, grass, and feathers, and the foxes lie there snugly enough when the winter comes on, with its freezing and snowing and blowing. When the fox gets hungry, he slips out of his cozy home and briskly trots to some well-known chicken roost, or perhaps he finds a covey of quails huddled under a bunch of straw. In either case, he carries home with him a dainty dinner, and after he has feasted he cares not how the wind blows, nor how the wind freezes, nor how the snow falls, for he is housed like a king, and is as warm and comfortable and happy as if he owned the earth and lived in a palace. Wolves also make their dens in the earth, but they usually hunt for a place where the hallway, at least, is already made for them. They seek a hill with a rocky base, and find a cave partially made, the entrance to which is a small opening between the rocks, and with this for a commencement, they dig out the interior and make their home, somewhat upon the plan of the fox. The old wolf, which Balder and Tom had chased to earth and found a fine dinner for his youngsters, and while the boys were watching the hole, no doubt the wolf family was having a glorious feast upon the gander.